Hey, from the struggles of fitting in to throwing an epic party to spending Saturdays in detention, which I've done a couple times, Hollywood really knows how to hit the nostalgia button when it comes to going back to school.
Our TCL movie guy came up with his top 5 back-to-school movies that are sure to spark a few memories from the website Paul's Trip to the Movies. Of course, you know him, you love him. Paul McGuire Grimes is back with us. Nice to see you, sir.
Hello. Great to be here.
Okay, I love these picks for back-to-school movies.
This is a hard assignment. I had a hard time narrowing it down.
We like giving you assignments like this.
We
This is fun. Okay, so Dead Poet Society.
I mean, number 5, Dead Poet Society from 1989, starring the phenomenal Robin Williams as an English teacher at an all-boys boarding school, and how he used very unconventional methods to reach out to his students. A young Ethan Hawke, Robert Sean Leonard, you know, Josh Charles is in this too, and it is just one of those movies that just inspires you. And you watch Robin doing what he does best: voices, impressions, physical comedy, to really just get at these kids, to rip pages out of their books, stand up on their desks, and just be the best versions of themselves.
This is
I just love this movie so much. And Robin is one of my absolute favorites. I miss him all the time.
He's so enjoyable to watch on the screen. Like every movie I see him in, he just sort of steals every scene, and you can't take your eyes off of him.
Yeah, and that is that's what I miss about him, and that's what you really get in this movie too. If you want classic Robin, this is classic Robin at his best.
Okay, I love these throwbacks, Paul, because it just reminds you there's so many great movies out there, and there's some that you maybe haven't seen in years that it's time to watch
Not streaming anywhere either, so we've talked about physical media the other day.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Well, I had to pull out the Blu-ray off my shelf and watch it, or go to a video store, or...
Yeah.
Okay, you just slow your roll over. you just take it easy. All right, figure out how to find Dead Poet Society, friends.
Thank you.
But hopefully you'll get to watch it. Okay, another one from 1982. What's your number 4?
So this is on Peacock. This is Fast Times at Ridgemont High from 1982. You know, a lot of people think of the John Hughes movies as 80s comedies, but really, like Amy Heckerling, who in the 90s did Clueless, directed this movie, written by Cameron Crowe, that did Almost Famous and Jerry Maguire. Wow. And it really is just this like year in the life of these sophomores and seniors, dead-end jobs, trying to get by, over-sexualized, and that is a young Sean Penn. Classic performance as Jeff Spicoli. We can't talk about that scene, but it's like, everyone knows that scene.
Even if you haven't seen the movie, you know that scene.
It is just hysterical, and great soundtrack as well. Jeff Spicoli, Mr. Hand, those scenes are perfect.
Very good.
You know what's so sad about that? I've never seen that whole movie all the way through.
Well, streaming on Peacock, it's 90 minutes. You'll have a blast with it. It's so fun.
A 90-minute movie.
I mean,
what
really
a refreshing thing.
I know. Well, this next one that you're going to talk about in preview is one of my all-time favorites.
Thank you for saying that.
Yes.
This is Mr. Holland's Opus from 1995, now streaming on Disney+. And I remember seeing this in the theaters with my grandma Peterson, and we both walked away from this movie just in love with that. And Richard Dreyfuss stars as a musician that saw teaching as really a fallback job, and over the course of 30 years, we see him have this true impact on his students using rock and roll and jazz to get them to love music. And you need to have a Kleenex with this movie, because there is a scene where he has a deaf son, where he sings and signs John Lennon's Beautiful Boy, and I am a mess watching that scene every time.
You're getting teary talking about it. That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
It's so good.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have, but such a long time ago.
Oh, give it
such
a
long
read.
time
I'm
ago.
telling you, I got a little bit of chills when you're talking about that, because that movie, I don't care how many times you watch it, there are a couple scenes in there that you will cry.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you are a stone cold sociopath killer. Okay?
And it just shows the importance of arts education and music, and why that is so important. And if you have had a teacher in that has inspired you, you will think about them as you watch Mr. Holland's Opus.
Oh, that is wonderful. These are such good reminders. This is like a whole list. I'm going to take all the pages home, and then I'm going to figure out how to watch them all. Okay, this next one is, I mean, I can never get enough of this movie.
Right, and I had to include it. It's The Breakfast Club from 1985. Again, John Hughes. This is my favorite John Hughes movie about 5 kids stuck in Saturday detention, a brain, an athlete, a basket case, a princess, and a criminal, and how they realized that they had much more in common than they really realized once they allowed themselves to be vulnerable and open up. And I think that this movie, gave those that felt outcast, that felt different in high school, a voice and something that they could watch and relate to.
For sure, because this was a time when you had to like be all the same. I mean, it was such like that. This movie almost was ahead of its time coming out in 1985, because I feel like in the 80s it was so much about conforming and just being exactly perfect, and they were fantastic.
I had the monologue that he gives at the end of the movie like taped up on my locker in high school, and it was always taken down, and I would put it right back up again. And the movie is so quotable. We used to quote this movie. I mean, it was in the 80s. I was in high school in 2000s, all the time at homeroom. Don't mess with the bull or you'll get the horns.
I still think a lot of those stereotypes are pretty true today.
I mean, it is. And once you get to know someone, maybe you can break free of those stereotypes, just see them in a different light. And I think this movie really teaches
Molly
that lesson.
Ringwald.
I mean, and Anthony Michael Hall
Yeah.
was a little nerd.
So good.
So good.
Okay, now this is a great pick.
Thank you. So my number one is Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit from 1993, streaming on Disney+. I'll tell you why. When I was young, I saw this movie at the Apache 6 Theater. You're getting Paul McGuire Grimes history right here. I saw this movie and was so inspired by the music, the lessons in this, that I went and joined our church choir, and have since then been in many choirs and show choirs. And I will always remember the quote in this movie: if you want to be someone, if you want to go somewhere, then you better wake up and pay attention. Yes.
I knew that. You knew
It's
that.
so good. I think it's the
love
rare
this.
sequel that's actually better than the original. That is actually Lauryn Hill before she joined the Fugees.
Lauryn Hill is a
Really?
star.
Yes.
This movie, the music in this will make you cry. She's unbelievable. I used to sing to this, like the
Who
soundtrack
didn't?
all the time.
Oh,
Yes.
Happy Day, Joyful, Joyful, so good. And just the power of like Whoopi pretending to be this nut against Dolores Van Cartier, Sister Mary Clarence, and teaching these kids using hip hop and gospel and soul to like revive them into music and really meet them where they are at. Again, devoted to music teachers.
This
Love
is
it.
truly a unicorn, because you're saying the sequel's better than the original.
He's not lying here. This
Not
man.
lying, people. Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit, Disney
Paul,
Plus.
we love you. Thank you.
love you too.
Great
Thank you
job.
so much. Visit Paul's website, paulstriptothemovies.com, for updates and reviews of movies and streaming services.
And what you're seeing right there are beautiful light fixtures from our friends at Muska Lighting. TCL's movie trip is brought to you by Muska, and they have the latest options for fans, outdoor lighting, and more. And the team at Muska Lighting can help you find the right fixture. Make sure they're dimmable so you can watch a movie. They have showrooms in Eden Prairie and Roseville.
Just turn them all the way off. If you're going to watch a movie, turn them all the way off. All right, coming up at 4, reporter Kristen is headed to Eden Prairie to show us a one-of-a-kind music program, so please stick around.